Hola, soy Charlotte. Em, Gracias a Ale por haberme invitado a hacer esta entrevista. Em, Voy a continuar en inglés porque no sé si tengo las palabras suficientes para explicarme muy bien. So, I'm going to answer all the questions that you've sent to me. I've been dancing for over 10 years, tribal fusion and ATS, and teaching for quite a long time as well. I teach mainly ATS in Brighton, which is in the south of the UK, and I cover tribal fusion classes for Hilda Canute when she's away. She's also been living in London for a while, so I took her classes for about a year. And also, performance-wise, we perform locally and different events in the UK and in Europe. I have my own ATS troupe called Terzim, and I collaborate with another ATS dancer in London called Philippa Morai, and we bring both of our troupes together as well. For Tribal Fusion, I'm assistant director of Hilda's Masmoudi Dance Company, and we have a professional troupe and a student troupe as well. And I've also been lucky to be invited to work on different projects, such as a hybrid dance project, which is directed by Olivia Kissel. We performed in the UK and in the Netherlands. Also, Alexis Southall's Juniper project I've been involved with a number of times, and we've performed in the UK and in Italy. And also, most recently, I've been so lucky to be a part of Balanat when they came to Europe. So this is Suhaila and Jamila Salimpour's legendary troupe. So we performed in Brussels in October, and they're going to be touring. We're going to be touring again in 2018, and we're going to go to Sweden and Belgium and also come to the UK. And finally, I have a new collaboration with Violet Kind from Mankato, Minnesota, and Stacey McPartlin from Dublin, and together we're called Dubric Kato, and we're going to be touring this year in the US and in Ireland and also in the UK. Really good question. For the moment, I would say tribal fusion. Obviously, I'm very experienced in ATS, so my tribal fusion does come from that. But I actually tend not to use very much ATS in my tribal fusion dance. I tend to look for other ways of moving. But I think my posture and my arm work is so influenced by ATS. It definitely has that quality. But I'm not 100% sure that I always will want to call it tribal fusion. I'm doing a lot of studying in Oriental dance, Egyptian dance, Middle Eastern dance, and I just love belly dance as a whole. I'm not going to put on a sparkly costume and do cabaret style anytime soon, but I feel that my style, I'm not sure that tribal fusion is always going to be the right word for it, but maybe ask me that question in a year. Slowly by accident, I expect. Hilda asked me to cover her classes, and I started doing that little by little, and became, over the last 10 years or so, I've got more and more obsessed with the dance and teaching and performing, and I know that I can't not do it. There's no more better way to explain it than that, really. I feel it's important to continue studying and learning, and it's a very niche art form, so the more we can get it out into the public eye, the better. What has been your biggest challenge or the most demanding thing on your career? I think the fact that I have a full-time job as well as dance, and trying to manage dance training and performing and teaching, as well as having a full-time job and also a relationship. So it takes a lot of work and discipline, I think. I have to get up early in the morning to train before I go to the office. I'm lucky that my managers are very understanding and they're very flexible with me, and I now only work in the office 4 days a week, which is great. But yeah, it's hard work trying to manage it all and make it all work. So I think when I've collaborated with other people, that's the most exciting. When you work with somebody and the ideas flowing really well together, and you manage to create a piece of work which you're happy with, and things have gone smoothly. I have a dance partner I work with, occasionally Mandy Hamson. We've created a couple of pieces together. She's always really fun to work with. She's a good friend. And the Bricato, the girls I'm working with at the moment from America and Ireland, was a real random happy connection there. When we all got together last year, I'd only met Violet one other time. She'd only met Stacey one other time. Stacey and I had never met, but we managed to create some work together and perform it, and have stayed in touch. And now we're working on much bigger projects for this year, which I think is absolutely magical. And obviously the wonders of technology like this allow us to connect with each other and be able to create work together, even though we're thousands of miles apart.
What has been my biggest challenge as a dancer? I think my biggest challenge has to try and do everything. So as a dancer, you have to be a costume designer, you have to be a theater director, you have to be a lighting designer, you have to be a teacher, you have to be a performer, you have to be a student, you have to be everything, you have to be an organizer. And I manage quite well to juggle these things. When it becomes tricky is when I'm on top of that traveling as well. So I'm trying to run a business from Japan in England. It's a little bit of a challenge. So the second thing I find very difficult as well, is when I'm traveling, is to keep a personal practice going. So when I'm at home, I have my studio spaces, I have my classes that I go to every week. The moment you start traveling for 3, 4, 5 weeks, you can really get out of the loop of that regular dance practice. So it's always the challenge to not let your body lose all its muscle tone and flexibility by the time that you're on the road a lot, because really, like, you're just teaching in the weekends, but in the week often it's much harder to get to keep that regular dance practice going. So I think that's my main challenge in dance. I'm trying to think of something else. Yeah, also, when you're doing something specialized as tribal fusion, and then you move away from tribal fusion and start to become even more specialized, it becomes very hard to define what you do. And if you don't have a branding or a definition of what you do, if you're constantly changing and evolving, it's very hard for people to understand what you do, and therefore it's very hard for people to market you. So I've also noticed that a big problem is that because I don't have a branding, Hilda's style is this, because I often change my style as I go along, as I become more experienced. I'm constantly evolving in my aesthetic. People just find it hard to promote me. um, but I'm starting to, since I've been doing this for so long now, now 20 years on, I really started to develop a style that is started to become a little bit of a signature style. But it just takes a long time before you get to that place. One of my best experiences as a dancer, I have quite a few. There was a performance in Japan that I did last year, which was so special to me. I was surrounded by these incredibly lovely Japanese women all week, and I just felt really at home there. I felt really cared for. And then the performance was at the end of that week. And now what happened was I was performing, and then after my performance was finished, I was like, well, after the song ended, I was like, I'm not done yet. And I just kept dancing for like 2-3 minutes in silence. And I felt so carried by this community of dancers. And I felt literally that I transcended out of my own body. So it was more of I felt like a vessel for whatever I was experiencing at that time, which was the inspiration of my audience. So it was this really, like, for me, it just felt like this lovely bubble that I found myself in, where I was giving the energy that I was getting from my audience. And because I was in such a good place, because I was so careful, everybody was just so moved by this performance, and they all came up after me like, wow, that was amazing. And I was like, and I really felt like, well, it was you, it wasn't me. So that was a pretty amazing experience. Another amazing experience was my trip to Rwanda 6 months ago, where I worked with 7 different dancers from local dancers, and I worked with a friend of mine, Charda van Straten, and we we managed to work with them for 3 weeks, and then in the end perform at the Genocide Memorial Amphitheater in Kigali in Rwanda. That was pretty incredible. They all had different dance styles. Some of them had traditional Rwandan dance. There was one break dancer. There was one contemporary dancer. And so we had this kind of diversity, but somehow we made that piece work as a whole. Um, and it was incredible. It was a really rich experience, and I really want to go back. If you would like my advice on being a fusion dancer, is study with as many people as you can, study as many different styles as you can, even though you're not interested in um, I don't know, locking or house dance. Take a class so at least you know what it is. The more you know, the more you understand of something, the more it's going to influence your dance. And sometimes it's about what you don't like that will influence your dance, because you're like, okay, well, I don't want to do that, so I can already stay away from that. So it takes a very, very long time to create an individual signature style. It can take 20 years easily, 10, 20 years. And I think what happens often in the beginning, people follow one teacher, and then after, say, 3-4 years, they kind of want to fall in love with another teacher, follow that teacher, and so on, and that lasts for a while. And then at one point, all of a sudden, they'll realize, oh, I don't really feel like I have one person to follow anymore. I have a lot of influences, but there's not one person that I want to follow anymore. And that's the moment that you really start developing your own style. But usually it takes a long time. And that's my second point, is um, fusion dancers should be very patient. With themselves, if they want to create an individual style, that is, because it will take time. Um, and don't give up, keep persevering, keep going to class, keep practicing, keep uh, encouraging yourself, keep watching YouTube clips, keep going to shows, and so on and so on. Keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. Hey, Dumanni's Dance Company. I am so thrilled that you are interested in my in my answers to your lovely questions. I hope there was a lot of useful info for you there, and I hope I get to meet you all sometime. Bye!
My biggest challenge as a dancer, I think I'm very grateful to have never had a very serious injury. Touch wood, I hope it stays that way. So that's something that I'm very grateful for. I think my head, my own brain, is perhaps my biggest challenge. We all have our insecurities and our stupid habits and things like that, and I think that that's probably the biggest thing that stands in my way. In terms of an actual dance event or something that's been the biggest challenge, I think every intensive that I've been to. And that's why I love intensives, because I love that feeling of being out of my depth. I love that feeling of being pushed beyond what I think I'm capable of. And that's why I love those 3 teachers so much, because they do that. They make me realize that I can do so much more than I thought I could. So every ITS intensive, every Silvestre technique intensive, and every Okadasi intensive, I really get that. I think it's just such a challenge emotionally, mentally, physically. It's such a huge challenge every time, and they're the only intensives that I'm really interested in doing. That's what an intensive should be like, right? Experience as a dancer, I don't know I could pin down one. Every time that I dance on stage with my friends or people that inspire me, I have a really special group of friends here, community of tribal fusion dancers here that I'm really close to and I really love a lot, and I get a chance to perform with them sometimes, and that's really special. Dancing with Umata on stage, my friends and influences, inspiration, so that was amazing. Maybe I had a comment once on one of my choreographies that I did. It was a group choreography. It was a group piece that I created. It meant a lot to me. It's about space. I'm crazy about space and astronomy and stuff. And I made this piece and I put a lot of heart into it. And it was with 2 good friends and fellow dancers that I care about. And I performed it, and I got a comment from somebody later on Facebook who said that basically she had decided to give up dancing just like the day before she went to that show, and she was just exhausted with it. She was so fed up with the drama of it all and all of this kind of stuff, and she just didn't see the point anymore. She was giving up, and she said she changed her mind because she saw that piece. And that's pretty much the most incredible compliment I could ever be given, to have inspired somebody to continue. It's never going to get any better than that. That means so much to me. Advice about being a fusion dancer: follow your heart and listen to your peers and your elders. Sound a little like contradictory in a way, but I really think it's important to do what you think is right. stay true to your heart. Like I was saying, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, and I'm a non-perfectionist, and that's just who I am. I'm not gonna radically change that. But I'm also sensitive enough, I hope, to be able to listen to critiques from everyone around me and be influenced by their example as well, so that I take a little bit maybe of their perfectionism or their discipline, shall we say, because I think those things are really important. And for me, listening to your peers and your elders also extends to listening to, particularly to people of color and people from the communities that we are borrowing from. That's really important to me. We're fusion belly dancers and tribal fusion belly dancers. So we are not, in my opinion, required to follow the rules of belly dance. We don't have to dance to Middle Eastern music, you know, all that kind of stuff. We're not saying we're authentic, but I really think that it's important to listen to the opinions of people from the Middle East and North Africa, if you have access to people, which we do here in London, because it's quite multicultural, and take their views on board and respect them for what they are, and allow them to influence your dance without you ever changing what is true to your own heart. It's a really fine line to tread, in my opinion. So maybe I don't know if it's the best advice to give, but that's important for me. Yeah, those two things. Finally, a message for the dance company. Oh my God, thank you so much for asking my opinion, because I love to talk about my opinions. For respecting me enough to want to know what I think, and for caring about what's going on around the world in this amazing dance style. Yeah, for putting a spotlight on our community in the UK, for giving a shit. So thank you so much. And I really hope that we can meet and hang out at some point somewhere around the world. I would love to connect with you guys. You're very inspiring. So thank you so much.
Okay, so in 2006 I started to learn Oriental style belly dance, and in 2007 I started to learn tribal fusion, and I was studying Oriental at the same time for about 5 years, and tribal fusion as well. And tribal fusion is what I have stuck with. It's what I've studied the most, and it's what I'm doing professionally. I also study hip-hop, jazz, house dance, whacking, a lot of street styles, but I'm definitely just a student, not a professional. The biggest challenges we face, like I said before, the number of new students coming in, it's a challenge. To not have so many people who are interested in the style. Also, we're very spread out, so although we're a tight community and we all get on very well, we are spread out quite a lot. So you have like the community in London, you have the community where I am, there's a community in Nottingham, and then there's a very small community in the north. And so getting to do things together can be quite challenging, and kind of developing that community feel as a whole in the country, because there's so much distance between us. Yeah. That can be quite challenging.
Okay.
I try to encourage them to spend a lot of time developing their style and deciding what it is that they have to say that's different as a dancer, so that they're not just, you know, copying their teacher, and so that they can have something different to offer when they go and perform and when they teach. I also try to encourage them to not forget about their technique, about developing their style and their performances, and not to get hung up on, you know, how many likes they have on their video and how many comments and how many places they get asked to teach. To me, that's not important, and that's not part of what being a professional is. There's a whole other attitude that you should have to being a professional. One of my students at the moment, she was losing interest in dance, and it was all to do with not having enough people in her class, really focusing on just that, and she'd forgotten about what it was that she loved about belly dance and about dancing in general. And I think it's easy when you're working as a professional to get hung up on how many people are in my class, how much money am I earning, and you forget about the important things like, why do I dance? You know.
Whoa.
So yeah, to not forget why you dance and why you enjoy dance.
Oh.
Hey everyone! I would like to say thank you for interviewing me and for asking me to be a part of this. Keep dancing, keep enjoying dance and loving life, and thank you so much.
Ah.
Llegué al belly dance por accidente. Yo tengo una enfermedad que no me permite trabajar en cosas de tiempo completo. Tengo un desorden neurológico que se llama narcolepsia. Lo que esto significa es que siempre estoy cansada, con otros síntomas, pero ese es el principal. Y entonces puedo dedicar todo el tiempo que tengo a lo que amo hacer, bailar. Y esto es algo que puedo hacer a pesar de tener esta enfermedad. Originalmente yo empecé a hacer talleres para fiestas de despedidas de solteras. Me empezaron a pedir que hiciera esto y me di cuenta que yo disfrutaba mucho enseñar. Pero estas chicas de las despedidas de solteras tenían una pequeña sesión conmigo y luego se iban y no las volví a ver. Me di cuenta entonces que quería seguir enseñando y ver el trayecto de las bailarinas, cómo iban mejorando cada vez más. Y así, accidentalmente, inicié con la enseñanza después de que alguien me pidió hacer taller en fiestas. Siento que también, como he tenido la oportunidad de aprender con tantas maestras, el conocimiento debe ser compartido. Bueno, pues inició antes de que yo empezara a bailar esto. Sucedía en pequeños espacios alrededor del Reino Unido. De un momento a otro se volvió un gran fenómeno. Aún en las áreas más aisladas probablemente hay alguien allá que baile tribal. Ha llegado a un punto en el que de hecho es demasiado. Hay muchos eventos en todo lado. Todo el mundo baila en los hafla de todo el mundo y es casi siempre las mismas personas. Al inicio había muchas dificultades en integrar el tribal con otros estilos de belly dance. Las bailarinas más tradicionales se pusieron un poco locas o asustadas por el estilo. La postura del tribal, sobre todo en los inicios, era muy intimidante, pero creo que ya ahora es más aceptado. Hay más unidad y es más reconocido por su técnica. Para mí, el tribal ha subido los estándares de técnica. Las profesoras de este estilo están en un gran nivel de conocimiento. Obviamente hay algunas que no. Nosotras sacamos un DVD llamado Tribal UK. Le pedí a mis amigas que dijeran quiénes eran para ellas las bailarinas más relevantes de la escena tribal de Reino Unido. Y escogí de esas una lista de personas de las que en ese momento le habían contribuido más a la comunidad. Ahora vamos a sacar una segunda versión para el cual le pedimos a las que protagonizaron la primera entrega quiénes deberían aparecer. Yo fui seleccionada por alguna razón. Hay bastantes eventos, como en Gotla, In Fashion, Emporium, de Alexis. Ella lleva a grandes maestras. También en el sur está Tribal Café, donde van los grandes nombres como Rachel Bryce, etc. Aprende con tantas maestras como puedas. Rodéate de tantas maestras como puedas. Y sea abierta a aprender otros estilos también. Uno se puede beneficiar de todas las clases que puede tomar. Nunca pienses que ya aprendiste todo. Nunca aprenderás todo y siempre podrás aprender más. Siempre siéntete como una principiante. He tenido la suerte de no encontrarme con mucha negatividad en mi camino dentro de esa comunidad, pero sé de otras personas que han recibido desafortunadamente diferentes comentarios negativos dentro de la comunidad. Debes asegurarte de siempre ser respetuosa con las demás personas y no debes tolerar el irrespeto en ninguna circunstancia. Nadie te va a respetar si eres una desgraciada. Y si de verdad quieres ser bailarina, estudia más y siempre busca mejorar. Por supuesto, la primera sería Rachel Bryce. Jill Parker es, digamos, la mamá del estilo, pero Rachel y su estilo es ridículamente extraordinario. Zoe Jakes es una pionera en muchas cosas, trabaja siempre con diferentes elementos y siempre está empujando a las personas para que le den lo mejor de sí. Zoe ve esto como un trabajo y dice que si uno va al estudio por un día a la semana, es como si ese día, si uno no va al estudio por un día a la semana, es como si ese día no fueses a tu trabajo. Y creo que esa es una mentalidad que ayuda muchísimo a seguir creciendo. Alexis Souhal he sido muy afortunada de tener una persona como ella entrenándome, ver su camino desde siendo una chiquilla bailarina y trabajando tan fuerte, religiosamente sin necesidad de querer ser la mejor bailarina en el Reino Unido, pero enfocado en sus propios logros. Ella sigue estudiando y entrenando y aprendiendo diferentes estilos y experimenta con jazz, house, etc. Es mi gran inspiración y además es mi profesora actual, así que debo hablar muy bien de ella. En cuanto a bellydance, me inspiró mucho en el cine. Mucho de mi trabajo propio tiene elementos de personajes de cine clásico. El año pasado hice una pieza basándome en una sirena. Fue una de las piezas más complejas que he montado. Se me ocurrió esta idea y de ahí tuve que pensar en cómo iba a moverme a través del escenario. Trato de coger elementos de donde pueda. Hay veces en las que no tengo ni idea de qué voy a hacer, no tengo ni idea de qué música bailaré y no sé nada. Pero entonces uso mi gran imaginación y agarro elementos y empiezo desde ahí. Pero a veces se interpone en tu camino. Recuerdo una vez con una compañera quisimos hacer una pieza como Transformers y se nos ocurrió que el vestuario debía transformarse, tanto en robot como en carro. Y pues honestamente fue un desastre. Finalmente solo hicimos unos vestuarios normales en tela. Es maravilloso, ha pasado de ser algo muy segregado. Por ejemplo, cuando recién llegó el ATS, al principio fue muy mal recibido por toda la comunidad de danza oriental. Habían ciertas escuelas muy conocidas donde se combinaban muchas danzas, con docentes no muy educados, yo diría. Había cabaret, había clásico egipcio y había un estilo gitano, que era como una idea romántica del Medio Oriente, pero eso era todo. Y cuando apareció el ATS, muchas de esas bailarinas dijeron como, ¿qué es esto? Esto no nos gusta. Y luego cuando llegó el Tribal Fusion también se encontró un poco con esto. Había muchas bailarinas que se sentían cómodas con el belly dance, pero al ver una clase o un taller de Tribal Fusion se preguntaban por qué tenían que estudiar yoga o entrenamiento físico y se molestaban. Pero para lograr todos esos movimientos medianamente bien, seamos honestas, hay que entrenar muy duro. Yo tuve conversaciones en las que la gente decía que quería aprender Tribal Fusion Light. Sí, es más accesible ahora, pero ya sabes, no fue muy recibido al inicio. Pero ahora es distinto. Las personas realmente están celebrando la diferencia, los diferentes estilos. Hay muchas cosas que caben dentro de la sombrilla de la fusión. Recuerdo el sábado pasado estuve en un hafla y llegó una chica con un vestido de novia e hizo una presentación a la Kate Bush y fue increíble. De eso se trata. Puedes hacer lo que quieras si lo haces bien y si es de verdad lo que quieres hacer. Ahora esto es mucho más conectado y es maravilloso. Ahora los haflas son muy divertidos. Hay que asegurarse de la comunidad, todas sean buenas personas y eso sucederá. Sí, aquí es donde nos ponemos políticas. Yo no soy una persona muy política, pero sí, definitivamente este asunto del terrorismo. La gente del Reino Unido ya no está viajando tanto al Medio Oriente, ha bajado muchísimo el turismo de aquí a esa zona. Esto quiere decir que las personas ya no están conociendo cosas tradicionales, el arte, la danza de esos países. Ya no pasa que la gente regresa y dice, ay, me encantó tal cosa que vi, o quiero tomar clases de bellydance porque vi tal y tal cosa. Y esto se está sintiendo en nuestra comunidad. Hace como unos 6 años llegaba gente que decía que había estado de vacaciones y que vio esta danza y quiso venir a aprender. Ya no hay tanto interés, es difícil y es algo que me ocurrió el año pasado. Cuando empecé a dictar clases de cabaret al inicio de la temporada de septiembre, llegaban casi 60 estudiantes y esto era casi una garantía siempre. Ahora los números son mucho más bajitos. Y si hay personas competitivas y un poco inseguras, viendo cómo están las cosas, van a tratar de bajar mucho los precios para obtener y más estudiantes. Así no sea alguien tan profesional como uno. Aquí en la comunidad menos mal no sucede tanto, pero puede pasar. También todo este asunto del Brexit ha permitido que ciertos sectores de la sociedad puedan decir muchas cosas discriminatorias en público. No pasa en mi círculo porque la verdad no entendería a alguien que pueda bailar belly dance o algo derivado y tener algo en contra de la comunidad musulmana o de las personas del Medio Oriente. Pero sí hay muchos sectores de la sociedad que ahora tienen voz con discursos de ultraderecha y de una u otra forma esto nos afecta también.